Hello and welcome to Getting Down to Business with Andrew Beattie. You'll see there's been a bit of a change today, and after Andrew's interviewed most people within professional services in this region, we thought it was time for the hunter to become the hunted. And I'd ask questions of the man himself.
Big shoes to fill.
Indeed they are. You had the shoes in that seat, that's true. So Andrew, welcome.
Thank you, Pete.
And today, of course, what we're going to talk about is business advisory. And as a partner and owner of PKF Business Advisory here in Newcastle, we thought, what better bloke to speak to?
Well, you'd hope so. Thanks, mate.
So tell me, mate, obviously people fundamentally or ideally understand that business advisory is typically part of an organisation that also offers accounting and accountancy advice. What's the difference between the two?
Yeah, look, I guess maybe before I answer that, it's very topical and why I think this topic's important to talk about. Because business owners these days rely so much on the accountant.
Yeah.
You know? Now, I guess accounting in its own right is what it sounds like. It's it's a numbers game. It's we often get called the bean counter. You know? Accounting is it's taking the numbers, putting them in the right order, reviewing, checking, lodging, stretching into tax, doing what you have to do from a compliance point of view, and getting your books up to date.
Yep.
By definition, over time, that's pretty much what we did. But realistically, business advisory, again, don't want to be obvious, but it is what it sounds.
Sure.
Advising business owners on everything and anything they should be running in business. I guess the thing that really comes to mind when we talk about it, Bud, and I was no different way back when, the business advisory is something we all say we do. Some do better than others, but really it's nothing you get taught necessarily when you're at university, for instance. You qualify as an accountant, doesn't mean you can run a business. And that might sound a bit funny, but it's just reality.
And so, knowing what I know about business advice or business advisory, it strikes me that people who are running successful businesses benefit from as much or even more than people who are in trouble from business advisory. Why is that? Why can even really healthy businesses benefit from having somebody like yourself around the table?
Well, I think the first and foremost is you can't know everything. And we often work with our clients because they're good at what they do and they rely on people that are good at what they do to help them make the right decisions. Further to that is when we get into the day-to-day, and we, don't get me wrong, we practice what we preach as well. It's just having an independent set of eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Someone that can challenge you rather than you're in it every day to make not necessarily better decisions, but make you question your decisions so you get the best outcome.
Okay.
But I think first and foremost it's horses for coursing, using those skill sets where appropriate to get you the best result in what you're trying to achieve.
Yeah, right. And it's an overused cliche, but what it sounds like to me is you're in the most ideal sense, you are a trusted advisor to the businesses you work with. Would that be fair?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And it's a concept that's been around for years. And I think for a long time, during the 80s, 90s, maybe even earlier, the accountant probably lost a bit of traction there with the lawyers and that sort of stuff that probably took the mantle of the trusted advisor. And that's really, you talk to a lot of the lawyers and they'll say it's really, done about face. For the last sort of 20 years, if not more, the accountant has become such a key part of a business owner's, not only business, but life. Now, what we've got to make sure is we respect that, position of not power, but that position that people are putting us in to really help them and their families. Like at the end of the day, there's a family or families behind businesses that rely on these people to improve, time or money or lifestyle, whatever that may be. And I know just from my own client base and that of our firms that, people do really put a lot of faith and a lot of trust in what you tell them, whether that be, directly around numbers, whether that be opinions and other pieces. It's a pretty, demanding, but a pretty sought after position, and one that your clients respect. So, that trusted advisor term is absolutely one that of privilege, and one that we don't pass up lightly. But in saying that, there are accountants, just because they got that title doesn't mean they're any different from anyone else. There's a lot of people that tend to or have tended to bastardise a bit and take advantage of that position, which is unfair. A client should be able to rely on the people they're putting in to guide them and advise them in this situation. And
Okay. So just to think about that for a sec. So yes, the accountant and business advisor is playing a key role in these people's businesses, and then by association in their lives, really. I think as you say, the pendulum has swung between who has a seat at that table in relation to who they really look to for their advice. I think, obviously lawyers' position has played a role in that, but as you just touched on, there's been quite a few circumstances where high-profile accountants have been in the media for the wrong reasons. And seemingly people that you would expect based on their credentials you should be able to trust. How do you know as a business owner, whether you're with a good business advisor, and what are the things to look out for?
Yeah, look, it's a good question. And I remember back from when my parents were in the same position years ago. I think, first of all, you've got to, really talk to referees, talk to other people that are using the services of an advisor. Make sure you've looked into what they've done, what sort of advice they seek, what they get, etc. And make sure what you're looking for can be delivered. There's a lot of firms that have that business advisory for argument's sake, as well as, not just business advisory. If you went into other areas of disciplines like audit or financial planning, whatever it may be, there's a lot of people that would advertise that because it's business, but can they actually deliver that, And don't get me wrong, there are a lot of good firms around and a lot of good advisors, and ones that, I would happily recommend any day of the week. So they're the majority. But I think it's horses for courses. Our firm's a little bit larger. We work with a lot of accountants who know what their skill set is and stick to their knitting, and they'll bring us in on that. Sort of, if you think of that general practitioner versus the specialist. I think that's a good sign that people have got their clients' interests at heart and understand, where they can really add value and where they need to bring some value in. So, referees, make sure you've looked into what the skill sets are. And I think, even you said before, way back when we did a position on marketing, you don't have to jump all in straight away. We can actually look at suck it and see, for a better word, and really trial by
so give them a piece of the business or a project and see how it goes.
Absolutely. Okay.
And so in that, can people have more than one accountant? Is that
it's look, to be honest, when I first started in accounting, I don't think that was a thing, in my experience anyway. And I think because the business owner knows what they do well, and they think, I've got an accountant, I'm right. But yes, more and more, especially in sort of the last 10 years and outside of the major cities, we're seeing that people are horses for courses. They're realising what their accountant does, and we've got many clients where we don't do the core services like as compliance. We'll come in for strategic planning, or for getting sale ready, or advisory boards or something like that, and we actually work with their day-to-day accountant who's got a strong relationship and they're sound practitioners, just to add that extra services that they don't necessarily have the experience or want to do.
Okay. And so when you start working with a client like that, and maybe let's use an example where it's not coming to you from another accountant, but if you start working with a business owner, what are the sort of first couple of things that you really look at within their business or within what they're trying to achieve?
Yeah, look, I think first and foremost, it's what are their personal goals. Well, it's not I think, I know that's what we do. It really, because, hand on heart, years ago, we would have probably reacted straight away to what the client said they needed, or jumped straight into what we know. In the last sort of, 5 to 10 years, it's been a lot more about taking a breath, not making assumptions, stepping back and understanding what the individual, the family, the multiple families, the stakeholders, etc., are trying to achieve personally. Because if we understand that, and we can therefore understand and structure the business to make sure it delivers upon what they're trying to achieve personally, which, look, let's face it, that's why most of us get into business, is for betterment, for us, for our family, etc. And it's something that's really proven, a win for not just for us, but for our clients. And the goals that have been kicked, some of the things you've seen people achieve has been, absolutely phenomenal. Off the back of that, once you've got the strategy right for the business to achieve the personal stuff, you can start to look at structure and tax strategy and, equity and making sure their debt positions are right. But overall, we're really trying to understand, what are they trying to achieve and digging right down. It's no good just saying, I want to, be rich. Well, what does that mean?
Yeah.
I'm being flippant with that, but what does that mean? We're trying to get
What's your purpose
context,
beyond the profit?
relativity, etc., and understand, well, by when, how much,
and
what are you prepared to
do?
do, what are you not prepared to do, how's the family fitting with it? So, we really want to break it down. And then actually, if you like, the accounting comes last. The tax comes last to try and make sure we understand everything, and then we backfill with what we know from a technical and skill set point of view.
Yeah, okay, cool. And from an approach point of view, I mean, one of the things I most enjoy about working with you is that you have a real no bullshit approach to not only work, but into what it means for people and how you translate that into their goals, like what you were just talking about. Is that something that you guys try and practice as a firm, or is that more an Andrew Beattie?
Oh no, I don't think it's just our firm. I think there's great. We see it every day. Today I've been in a meeting with, again, another accountant that has referred us a probably a bit more specialised job. They were in the meeting, and you get to see they do it as well. So I think I'd like to think that that's when you get a few years under your belt, and you are used to dealing in that commercial world, and you're seeing the impact of real families. That's what happens. But me personally, and I'd like to think our firm, it's people.
Yeah.
And we're in a town, whether it be Newcastle or Central Coast or even Sydney. Like, at the end of the day, you're with people for hopefully a long time, right through, not just while they're coming into business, but when they've exited their business and beyond. And it's a relationship. And the more we can take business back to being about relationships as opposed to transactions, everyone wins. So we'd like to think that we do that as a standard. But let's face it, there are some really good people out there that do the same thing, and not just in the accounting industry either. And I think that's what works in those instances where we do come together.
And so when you're building a team like that, and let's say a business is like a sports team, and when it's working really, really well, business advisory and the accountant play that, you call it the trusted advisor or the coach or whatever, plays a really key role in the performance of that business, along with the key players within it. But like any team, there needs to be a group of people around that team to really make it perform. Over and above having the same approach, in your experience, what are the key people or the key sort of specialties to be represented when helping a business be as good as it can be?
Well, again, I think it comes back to what they're trying to achieve.
Sure.
So I think everyone, no matter whether they've got money or haven't, or they're in a risk position or not, needs a good financial advisor around them. Because at different levels of your life cycle, you'll be able to pull on different things and require different advice. So, and we fortunately have a good group of people both in and outside of the firm. It's not just our own people. We've got plenty of others as well that you do know they've got the interest at heart and they can work with you. No doubt, this day and age, especially business owners, a good lawyer. You need HR covered. You need marketing covered. Like, thank you for saying that. But, we need these things covered. I don't think it's a matter of one, but it's what forms that core advisors that have their specialist skill sets. But more importantly, they can work together. They can keep each other informed. I know what's going on and someone's doing because it might affect something I'm trying to do for the client. But at the end of the day, we've all got the client's interest at heart. And I think, personally, that's what I see my role as a connector, if you like. I've got a great team internally that do a lot of the accounting related stuff. Ours is relationships. Ours is making sure that client gets to where they want to go by bringing all the parties together. I think then you look at internal, you also need to mix up your skill set as well. You know, so it's no good having, you know, 10 of me, heaven forbid, you know, but you need different people for different stages. You need different people in your team that are quite capable to work with the different levels of a client's business as well. You know, like
so that you can meet them at those levels.
Oh, absolutely. Like a client asked, a new client recently said about, you know, a system question. I said, well, the last person to be ringing is me. You know.
Sure.
But I've got great people that I know will give the same level of service, and we keep each other informed.
Yeah, great. All right. Thank you. And before we close, I just wanted to ask your point of view on the market and on what you think's in store for us. I mean, my observation is that everyone I speak to, and agencies and accounting firms are good barometers, I think, for what's happening in the market, and everyone seems to be working twice as hard for the same result. And you're doing well if you're getting the same result. We've been personally really lucky to be surrounded by really loyal clients, and I think the same is true of PKF. But for those out there that are in, you know, volatile markets, retail markets, sectors that are under scrutiny at a governance level, there's massive changes happening in the market that we've probably not seen the likes of for a long time. What are your thoughts on what next year's going to look like and beyond, and what would be your key pieces of advice to clients in and around, whether it's weathering the storm or setting up for success into a more prosperous market?
Yeah, look, I think not necessarily to comment on individual industries, because it's you know, it's an opinion and everyone's got one, but I think I look more at what are some of the core behaviours and actions that successful businesses and consistently successful businesses actually put into practice, which differentiates them no matter what the market's doing. You know, like the amount of clients, or not necessarily clients, but people come to us or we come across that don't have a strategic plan. Now, I'm not saying you have to have a 50-page documented War and Peace plan, but you know, if you don't know what you're trying to achieve,
know where you're going.
Where you're trying to get to, and then also what are some of your weaknesses and maybe areas you need to be attentive to at the moment. Well, how are you even going to get there? And that might sound a bit cliche, but it's true every day of the week. That independence I said before, successful businesses, you know, drop their guard, happy to bring people around them to challenge them. You know, that's just two things at a very minimalistic level. I think then, Pete, it really comes back to if you keep doing the same thing, and the market might change around you, you're not adapting, it's going to be an issue. You know, you say we've both got loyal clients, we have, but there's a reason we've got loyal clients, is because we're reacting with them and challenging them and trying to do these things. Look, more locally, what's been, I guess, exciting and interesting for me is that it's not just a mining game anymore. You know, it's not just the steel making game. Newcastle has a vast array of industries that are really thriving and going quite well. Yeah, you mentioned retail again, not to get too much into it, but it's changing. It will continue to change. They've got a lot of pressures, but what are people doing differently around that? And it's funny when you see some of these smaller businesses that haven't got the level of resources that maybe some of the bigger businesses have. The innovation that comes out is quite interesting. And
when they're not carrying as much, they seem to find opportunities in what other people are seeing.
Oh, exactly. Look, I think we've been on a really good run with construction. So that'll get harder, I've got no doubt. But it has been a pretty good run for quite a while. But you know, look, let's face it, interest rates are at all-time lows. You know, the labour market where we live, particular industries, mine included, are a bit harder, but on the whole, it's not bad, and wages are pretty good. You know, there's a lot of positive signs for our region, but also businesses at large. But I'd really sit there and challenge any business owner to understand, well, what are they trying to achieve? They're going to turn up every day and not really challenge anything. Well, of course, you've got to be aware of what's going on around you.
Sure. All right. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Business advice from one of the very best. Andrew, thank you.
Cheers, Pete.